Be prepared. Tomorrow isn't just another Monday. While everyone else is sleepwalking through their week, something electric is about to strike. And if you're reading this right now, you're one of the few who'll actually feel it hit. On April 14th, Mercury and Uranus lock into a rare alignment, creating what I can only describe as a cosmic lightning bolt aimed directly at your consciousness. This isn't subtle energy. This isn't some gentle shift you might notice if you're paying attention. This is a sudden, shocking breakthrough that will split reality in two, before and after. And here's what makes this even more intense. Mercury is sitting at the absolute final degree of Pisces, about to cross into Aries just hours after this alignment peaks. That means this isn't just any Mercury-Uranus connection. It's happening at a threshold, a cosmic doorway where psychic downloads meet raw action. But here's the thing most people won't understand. This energy doesn't wait for you to be ready. It doesn't ask for permission. And if you've been experiencing strange technical glitches, random messages from people you haven't heard from in years, or sudden urges to check your phone at oddly specific times, keep watching. Because there's one specific reason this is happening to you right now, and I'll explain exactly what it means later in this video. For now, just know this. Tomorrow, 3 distinct messages are coming your way, not metaphorical messages, not vague spiritual nudges, actual tangible communications that will arrive through your phone, through conversations, through synchronicities so precise they'll stop you in your tracks. The question is, will you recognize them when they arrive? The alignment nobody's talking about. Let me tell you something about Mercury-Uranus connections that most astrology content completely misses. When these two planets link up, they don't just create interesting conversations or quirky coincidences. They create ruptures in the fabric of ordinary thinking. Mercury is the messenger, the translator, the part of you that processes information and makes sense of the world. Uranus is the awakener, the rebel, the cosmic disruptor that shatters patterns you didn't even know were keeping you stuck. When they align, especially at this critical 29th degree, the final degree of any sign, something has to break through. And tomorrow, that breakthrough is aimed directly at your mind, your phone, your ability to receive information from sources beyond the ordinary. Most people will experience this as random chaos, weird texts, confusing conversations, technology acting up for no reason, but you're going to recognize it for what it really is: transmission. The universe is trying to send you something, 3 specific things actually, and the craziest part, these messages have been trying to reach you for weeks, maybe months, but tomorrow is when the signal finally breaks through the noise. Tomorrow is when the lightning strikes and everything becomes crystal clear. But before we get to what those 3 messages are, you need to understand why this particular alignment is so different from anything we've seen this year. Look at what's happening in the sky right now. We just passed through a full moon in Libra on April 1st. Mars is about to conjunct Neptune in Aries. The entire cosmic landscape is charged with tension, confusion, and a strange sense that something is about to shift. And right in the middle of all this chaos, Mercury meets Uranus. This isn't happening in isolation. This is the catalyst, the spark that ignites everything that's been building. Because here's what nobody tells you. Mercury at 29 degrees Pisces is sitting at the absolute edge of the zodiac's most intuitive, psychic, boundary-dissolving sign. It's like your mental receiver has been tuned to the highest frequency possible, picking up signals from dimensions most people can't even perceive. And then Uranus shows up, the planet of sudden revelation, unexpected change, technological breakthroughs, and it doesn't just knock on the door, it blasts it wide open. What you've been sensing, what you've been almost able to grasp, but couldn't quite put into words, tomorrow it becomes undeniable. Your thoughts will move faster than usual. Ideas will arrive fully formed, like downloads from somewhere beyond your conscious mind. And those 3 messages I mentioned? They won't announce themselves with fanfare. They'll arrive disguised as ordinary moments, a text from someone you haven't thought about in months, a conversation that takes an unexpected turn, a random piece of information that suddenly makes everything make sense. The people who are tuned in will catch them. The people who aren't, they'll let the most important messages of their entire month slip right past them. And trust me, you don't want to be in that second group. Your phone will become a portal tomorrow. Remember when I said if you've been experiencing strange phone-related synchronicities, there's a reason. This is it. Your phone isn't just a device right now, it's becoming a receiver for cosmic downloads. Mercury rules communication, technology, messages and information exchange. Uranus rules sudden breakthroughs, electricity, unexpected connections and awakening. Put them together during a rare alignment at the final degree of Pisces, the sign of universal consciousness, and your phone literally becomes a portal between the seen and unseen. You might have already noticed it starting. Maybe you thought of someone and they texted you seconds later. Maybe you randomly checked your phone at exactly the moment a crucial message arrived. Maybe you've been getting calls from unknown numbers only to answer and hear silence, or worse, a message that felt strangely meaningful even if it didn't make logical sense. This isn't your imagination. This isn't coincidence. This is Mercury-Uranus energy warming up, preparing for tomorrow's peak. And when it hits, the veil between ordinary communication and cosmic transmission collapses completely. Here's what this means practically. Tomorrow, pay attention to every ping, every notification, every unexpected call. But more importantly, pay attention to the timing. Because the messages coming through aren't just about content, they're about synchronicity. You'll know them when you see them because they'll arrive at the exact moment you need them, answering questions you didn't even know you were asking. Some of you will receive a message from your past. Someone you haven't spoken to in years will reach out, and their timing will be so perfect it'll feel like the universe orchestrated the entire thing. Others will stumble upon information, an article, a video, a random post that contains exactly what you've been searching for. And a few of you? You'll receive a message that comes from inside your own mind, a sudden knowing so strong it feels like someone whispered directly into your consciousness. All three of these are valid, all three are real, and tomorrow at least one of them is coming for you. The first message from your past. The first breakthrough message arrives as an echo. Someone from your past, maybe an old friend, maybe an ex, maybe someone you worked with years ago, is going to reach out. And here's the thing, this isn't random nostalgia. This isn't them just happening to think of you. This is the universe using them as a messenger. Mercury-Uranus doesn't deal in coincidence. When this alignment activates, it pulls people back into your orbit for a reason. Maybe they hold a piece of information you need. Maybe reconnecting with them opens a door you thought was permanently closed. Maybe their message contains a clue about your next step forward. But here's what you need to understand. The message itself might seem ordinary. It might just be a "hey, been thinking about you" text. It might be a random comment on an old post. It might even be a phone call that seems to have no real purpose. Don't dismiss it. Don't write it off as meaningless. Because buried in that seemingly casual interaction is something deeper. A reminder of who you used to be, a reflection of how far you've come, a pattern you thought you'd left behind but hasn't actually released you yet, or maybe, just maybe, an opportunity you walked away from that's circling back around because it was never meant to be closed. Pay attention to how you feel when you see their name pop up on your screen. Does your stomach drop? Does something in your chest tighten? Does a wave of unexpected emotion wash over you? That's the signal. That's how you know this isn't just a random message. It's the first transmission. And what you do with it matters. You don't have to respond immediately. You don't have to reopen old chapters you've already closed. But you do need to ask yourself, why now? Why this person? Why tomorrow, of all days? Because Mercury-Uranus doesn't resurrect the past without purpose. It's showing you something. Make sure you're paying attention. The second message from the future. The second breakthrough message doesn't come from a person. It comes from possibility. This is the one that arrives as a sudden idea, an unexpected opportunity, or a flash of insight so clear it feels like you're remembering something that hasn't happened yet. This is where Uranus really shows up. Uranus is the planet of the future, of innovation, of sudden leaps forward that bypass the slow crawl of linear progress. And when it links with Mercury, the planet of thought and perception, it doesn't just give you ideas, it gives you visions. Tomorrow you might be in the middle of doing something completely ordinary when suddenly, boom, a thought drops into your mind fully formed. An idea for a project, a business, a creative endeavor you've never considered before. Or maybe it's not a new idea at all. Maybe it's clarity about something you've been circling for months and suddenly the entire puzzle clicks into place. Some of you will experience this as a literal download. You'll sit down to journal or meditate, and words will pour out of you faster than you can keep up with. Others will experience it as a conversation. Someone will say something that triggers a cascade of realizations, one insight building on another, until you can see the entire path forward laid out in front of you. And here's what makes this message so powerful. It won't make sense according to your current circumstances. It might feel too big, too impossible, too far outside the life you're living right now. That's how you know it's real. That's how you know it's coming from the future version of you, the one who's already done this, reaching back through time to show you the way forward. Mercury Uranus doesn't give you safe, practical ideas. It gives you genius. It gives you breakthroughs that shatter the limits you've been operating under. And tomorrow, when that message arrives, you'll have a choice. Dismiss it as unrealistic or trust it enough to take the first step. The people who change their entire lives during Mercury-Uranus transits, they're the ones who act on the impossible idea. They're the ones who recognize that the craziest thought might just be the most true. Because sometimes the future doesn't wait for you to be ready. Sometimes it just shows up and demands you follow. The third message from yourself. This is the one most people miss completely. Because the third breakthrough message doesn't arrive through your phone, through a person, or even through an external event. It arrives through you, through your body, through your intuition, through that quiet voice that's been trying to get your attention for longer than you want to admit. Mercury-Uranus alignments have a way of cutting through all the noise, all the overthinking, all the mental gymnastics you've been doing to avoid a simple truth. And tomorrow, that truth is going to surface whether you're ready for it or not. You're going to feel something in your gut, a knowing so strong it bypasses your rational mind completely. Maybe it's the realization that you need to leave something behind, a job that's draining you, a relationship that's run its course, a habit that's keeping you small. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's the recognition that you need to commit, to go all in on something you've been half-arsing because you were afraid of what would happen if you actually tried. This message won't be gentle. It won't ease you into clarity. It'll hit like lightning, sudden, shocking, impossible to ignore. One moment you're going about your day, and the next moment you just know. And once you know, there's no unknowing. There's no going back to the comfortable lie you were telling yourself before the truth broke through. Some of you have been feeling this building for weeks, that restless energy, that sense that something needs to change but you can't quite put your finger on what. Tomorrow, the finger gets pointed. Tomorrow, the message becomes crystal clear. And what you do with it will determine whether you step into the breakthrough or resist it until the universe has to force your hand. Here's the thing about messages from yourself. They're the hardest ones to ignore and the easiest ones to rationalize away. You can dismiss a text, you can file away an idea for later, but when your own soul is screaming at you, when your body is giving you signals you can't misinterpret, that's when the real choice happens. That's when you find out if you're actually ready for transformation or if you're just cosplaying spiritual growth while staying exactly where you are. Your mind will do something strange tomorrow. Let's talk about what's going to happen to your thought process tomorrow, because this is where things get really interesting. Mercury at the final degree of Pisces means your mind has been operating in dream logic for days now. Linear thinking has been hard. Focus has been slippery. You might have found yourself spacing out mid-conversation or losing track of time without realizing it. But tomorrow, when Uranus hits Mercury with that electric jolt, something shifts. Suddenly your mind doesn't just wander, it leaps. You'll be thinking about one thing and then, crack, You're somewhere completely different, and somehow that new thought is exactly what you needed, even though it has nothing to do with what you were originally focused on. This is non-linear genius at work. This is your brain making connections it couldn't make under normal circumstances. Thoughts you've had separately for months suddenly link together, forming patterns you never saw before. Ideas that seemed unrelated reveal themselves as pieces of the same puzzle. Some people will find this disorienting. They'll feel scattered, unfocused, like they can't hold on to a single coherent thought. But that's because they're trying to force their mind to behave normally during a day when normal doesn't apply. If you try to think in straight lines tomorrow, you'll just frustrate yourself. Instead, let your mind move where it wants to go. Follow the tangents, trust the random associations, write down the weird thoughts that seem to come out of nowhere, because those aren't random, they're revelations dressed up as distraction. The breakthrough ideas always arrive disguised as interruptions. And here's what's really wild. Tomorrow, you might find yourself solving problems you weren't even trying to solve. You'll be thinking about something completely unrelated when suddenly the answer to a question you've been wrestling with for months just drops into your awareness. That's Mercury Uranus. That's the lightning bolt. That's the universe hacking into your consciousness and uploading the solution while you weren't looking. Technology will glitch, and that's actually a sign. Let's address the elephant in the room. Mercury-Uranus transits are notorious for technological chaos. Your phone might freeze, apps might crash, messages might send 3 times or not at all. Your computer might do that thing where it decides to update right when you're in the middle of something important. Most people will curse the technology and move on, but you're going to recognize what's really happening because these glitches, they're not bugs, they're features. They're the universe's way of getting your attention, of slowing you down, of forcing you to notice something you would have missed if everything had run smoothly. Pay attention to what you're doing when the glitch happens. What were you about to send? Who were you about to call? What information were you about to access? Because sometimes the interruption is the message. Sometimes you're being redirected, protected, or stopped for a reason that won't become clear until later. I'm not saying every technical problem tomorrow is cosmically significant, but I am saying that Mercury-Uranus doesn't do anything without purpose. So when your phone acts weird, when technology seems to have a mind of its own, when the universe appears to be throwing obstacles in your digital path, pause, take a breath, ask yourself if there's a message hidden in the malfunction. Maybe you were about to send a text you'll regret. Maybe you were about to fall down an internet rabbit hole that would have wasted your entire afternoon. Maybe you were about to miss a call that actually matters because you were too buried in your screen. The glitch might just be the course correction you didn't know you needed. The 3-hour window you can't ignore. Here's something specific you need to know. Mercury aligns with Uranus at approximately 1 in the afternoon, but the energy window, the time when this transmission is strongest, stretches roughly from 11 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. This is when the breakthrough messages are most likely to arrive. I know, you can't just drop everything and stare at your phone for 3 hours waiting for cosmic downloads, but you can be present. You can keep your awareness sharp. You can notice what's happening around you instead of sleepwalking through your afternoon. If possible, avoid overscheduling during this window. Don't pack your day so full that you have no space for the unexpected. Because the thing about breakthrough messages is they don't arrive during the scheduled slots. They interrupt. They burst through. They demand attention right when you think you're focused on something else. And if you absolutely can't clear your schedule, at least clear your mental space. Put your phone on a setting where you'll notice important messages, but won't be constantly distracted by noise. Give yourself permission to pause and pay attention if something feels significant. Trust that the universe knows how to reach you even in the middle of chaos. Some of you reading this are going to ignore this advice. You're going to power through your day without pausing, without noticing, without making space for anything outside your routine. And then later, maybe tomorrow night, maybe next week, you're going to realize you missed it. You're going to see the synchronicity in hindsight and kick yourself for not being more aware in the moment. Don't be that person. This alignment happens once. This exact configuration, Mercury at the final degree of Pisces meeting Uranus just hours before shifting into Aries. This is a one-time event. The messages coming tomorrow are timed specifically for now. Miss them, and you might spend months trying to recreate the clarity that could have been yours in a single afternoon. After the lightning strikes, then what? Here's what nobody tells you about breakthrough moments. They're only valuable if you act on them. You can receive all three messages tomorrow, from your past, from your future, from yourself, and still end up exactly where you started if you don't do anything with the information. Mercury enters Aries just hours after this alignment peaks. Aries is the sign of action, initiation, courage. The shift from Pisces to Aries is the shift from receiving to doing, from dreaming to manifesting, from download to execution. The universe isn't just sending you messages tomorrow, it's preparing you to move. So when those insights hit, when those connections are made, when those three breakthrough messages arrive, don't just acknowledge them and move on. Write them down, sit with them, let them fully land in your awareness. And then, this is crucial, take the first step. It doesn't have to be a big step. You don't have to upend your entire life tomorrow night, but you do need to demonstrate that you received the transmission. Reply to that message from the past. Research that idea from the future. Honor that truth from yourself. Show the universe you're not just a passive receiver, you're an active participant in your own transformation. Because here's the thing about Mercury-Uranus energy. It rewards those who move on what they receive. The people who get the download and immediately start implementing it, they're the ones who experience quantum leaps. They're the ones who look back 6 months from now and barely recognize their old life. The people who receive the same messages but file them away for someday. They stay exactly where they are, wondering why nothing ever changes. Tomorrow gives you the lightning bolt, but you're the one who decides whether it sets something on fire or just leaves a flash of light that fades into memory. One final warning before tomorrow hits. Not everyone is going to experience tomorrow as a breakthrough. Some people are going to experience it as a breakdown, because Mercury-Uranus doesn't just reveal truths, it shatters illusions. And for people who've built their entire identity on those illusions, tomorrow might feel like everything is falling apart. You might see people around you acting erratic, making impulsive decisions, saying things they can't take back. The energy will be crackling through the collective, and not everyone knows how to ground it. Some will lash out, some will spiral, some will burn bridges they'll later regret burning. This is why grounding matters. This is why staying centered in yourself matters, because you can receive the breakthrough messages without becoming chaotic. You can experience the lightning bolt without letting it fry your circuits. The key is to stay present, stay aware, and remember that not every impulse needs to be acted on immediately. Tomorrow will test your ability to discern between inspired action and reactive chaos, between a genuine download and an anxiety spiral, between a message that needs to be heard and a distraction that needs to be ignored. Trust yourself, trust your body, and if something feels off, give it 24 hours before you act on it. Because here's the truth, real breakthroughs feel like clarity, even when they're shocking. False urgency feels like panic. Learn to know the difference. Tomorrow will give you plenty of practice. If you're still watching, I'd like to thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support is very appreciated. Feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more insightful content.